famous name Diana, a public figure. This one is powerful because she said it herself, openly spoke about deep fear of abandonment, emotional neglect in childhood, extreme distress when relationship felt unstable. She once said she felt desperate for love and terrified of being replaced. You can frame it like this: even with global admiration and wealth and attention, abandonment wounds don't just disappear, they just hide behind success. This destroys the myth that love or status can fix the trauma. The lover who couldn't accept being left. A breakup happens, one partner moves on, the other threatens to refuse to accept separation. When questioned, they just repeat the same sentence: I couldn't live without them. And psychologists commenting on those cases after say this was not love, it was identity collapse. For abandonment wounded people, being left doesn't feel sad, it feels annihilating. And this hits hard when your entire sense of self is tied to one person. Losing them feels like losing oxygen. The viral suicide note that blames silence. This is deeply unsettling and real across different countries. Suicide notes that went viral had one repeated theme: unanswered messages, emotional withdrawal, feeling invisible, not explicit abuse, not cruelty, silence. Mental health experts later emphasized that for people with abandonment trauma, emotional withdrawal can feel more painful than the direct rejection. You can say to a regulated nervous system, silence is neutral. To an abandonment wired nervous system, silence is proof of worthlessness. That line stops people from getting cold. Before we proceed, please remember this video is for information purpose only and is not for self-diagnosis. And ever noticed how unanswered text can ruin someone's entire day? Not because they are dramatic, but because their nervous system thinks about the abandonment has already started. A deep silent fear of being hurt, rejected, replaced. People with abandonment issues learn one dangerous rule very early: people leave, and when they do it, it will destroy me. Now, compared to childhood, a child raised with secure attachment grows up with a caregiver who are warm, consistent, emotionally available. So the nervous system learns safety. As an adult, they can trust people, form healthy bonds, see and unanswered text as think like they are probably busy. No panic, no spiral, no story in their head. Now compare that with someone who grew up with inconsistent or neglectful caregivers. Love was unpredictable. Affection came and then disappeared. Promises are made, then broken. That child comes too hopeless. I'm not lovable enough to be chosen. Everyone eventually leaves. And once that belief or installed, they don't just magically disappear just because the person grows up. This is why some adults push people away the moment things get serious. Their strategy says, I'll leave first so it doesn't hurt. Others do the opposite. They attach too fast, oversharing, love bombing, clinging. Their strategy says, if I attach hard enough, maybe they won't leave. Different behaviors, same rule. I have seen this play out. The sudden discard, someone looks deeply in love one day and then disappear overnight the next day. No fire, no cheating, no warning. Just one day they are planning the future. The next day, I just don't feel the same anymore. What actually happened? Nothing went wrong. Things went right, and then the moment stability appeared, the nervous system panicked. This is when I get abandoned. So they leave first. People call them heartless, cold, emotionally unavailable. But internally, they are in the survival mode, replaying an old escape pattern learned in their childhood. Here's what that shocked most people: you don't need to abusive patterns to develop abandonment issues. You just need unpredictable emotional availability. And that's why this problem is far more common than people think. Abandonment wounds often came from the caregivers who were emotionally neglectful and responsive, abusive, inconsistent. When a child experiences the death of a parent or else like a violence, sometimes absence, a child don't think like my parent is overwhelmed. They think like I'm not important enough to be neglected, to be accepted. Their environment, nobody talks about growing up in a violent home, extreme financial stress, part of the marginalized community group causes children into survival mode early. When safety is unstable, detachment becomes unstable. I have to stay alert. Something bad is always going to happen to me. That hypervigilance doesn't shut off in their adulthood. Even when filled with love afterwards, teach one brutal lesson. People can disappear at any time, so children adapt by either never fully attaching or attaching desperately and instantly. That's not personality, that's pattern conditioning. And even in loving homes, abandonment anxiety can still form. The parent travels constantly for work, chronic illness, or emotionally unavailable stress. A child still experiences repeated emotional abandonment. Just inconsistency and inconsistency is enough to not or wipe out the fear, like silence, emotional withdrawal, chaos at home. So when the adult brain hears the silence, the child brain screams. It's actually happening again. So abandonment can be reactivated in the adulthood by being cheated on, betrayed, trapped in an abusive relationship. Doesn't create the wound, reopens it. Now every relationship is dangerous. In children, abandonment issues doesn't look quiet. It looks like intense distress when separated from the caregivers, frequent emotional outbursts, negative attention seeking, withdrawal from peers, or bullying others. Some become terrified of adults, others become overly trusting, forming instant emotional dependencies. Both are survival strategies. In adulthood, the trauma doesn't look like crying for help. It looks like self-betrayal, overthinking, slowly losing yourself in the relationship. When you're terrified of being left, you don't just protect yourself, you erase yourself. You think like you need to keep the relationship away. So you just stop caring about yourself. You stop pursuing your goal, not because your partner asked, but your nervous system decided if I became less demanding, they won't leave. And the irony is, more you abandon yourself, the more restless, resentful, and unstable the relationship becomes. You live in hypervigilance, scanning text, tone, timing, body language. A small joke feels like criticism. A short reply feels like rejection. Your brain keeps asking, is this the moment I get left? That's not intuition. That's trauma trying to predict pain. And love feels unstable. Your body never relaxes. So you live in a chronic anxiety, emotional exhaustion, sometimes depression, not because your life is falling apart, but because your relationships never feel safe. You start expecting the worst, tracking responses, time, online statuses, subtle shifts in tone, silence becomes a story, and they are losing interest in you. They are talking to someone else. It's over. So you prepare for a breakup that hasn't even happened in the world. Deep down, like, I'm unlovable. Something feels off. You don't question the situation, you question your own worth. You apologize too much, tolerate too much, stay longer than you should. Repeated rejection doesn't make you stronger, it makes you colder. So you enter into new relationship, guarded, critical, emotional distance, and unknowingly attracting the same unhealthy dynamics again. Different person, but the same ending. Abandonment trauma creates attachment extremes. You either attach too fast to someone who gives crumbs or refuse to commit fully, keeping one foot away from the door. Both are attempts to avoid the future pain. Some people entirely rely on one partner, emotional for stability, constant seeking reassurance, but no amount either feels enough. Others become people pleasers, crossing their own boundaries, even saying yes to intimacy they don't want or not out of their desire but fear. And many avoid communicating their own needs. They feel silent, avoid clarities across their hurt because someone inside is the belief like if I speak, I'll be abandoned. So resentment builds quietly. Sometimes the final move is self-sabotage, pulling away, starting fights, ending the relationship suddenly, not because they don't care, but because leaving first feels safer than being left. Healing doesn't pretending the past didn't happen. It means that integrating it without letting it control you. The past made me weak, but the past tested me and I survived. People left, situation collapsed, loved and last, and I'm still here. Doesn't rise when someone chooses me, and it doesn't collapse when someone leaves me. I stop outsourcing my worth to text attention, romantic interest. I internalize one unshakable truth. I can handle rejection because I always have my own beliefs changes everything. Healing begins when you move from survival to choice. From I can't lose this person to is this actually healthy for me? This is where people pleasing ends and the co-dependency loses its power, not because you become cold, but because you become conscious, you rebuild self-trust, sacrificing sweet food, high motivation moment, to save the relationship. That's not love, that's self-abandonment. Every time you show up for yourself, you tell your nervous system that I will not disappear for you, for anyone. So it should come from inside. Secure attachment is possible. People who respect boundaries, stay consistent, and don't disappear when you express your needs. If you don't have that yet, start with a safe connection, a therapist, or a coach, or a grounded family member. Security isn't learned through positive thinking; it's learned through experience only. child to reparenting adult self-love, like radical conditioning acceptance, remind your inner child that they are worthy of love exactly as they thought. Through self-kindness, protection, you must create a safe inner environment. This means that setting hard boundaries with toxic people and steering clear of situations that cause you distress. Guidance, like stop looking for everyone else to tell you what to do. Become your own mentor by just setting your goals and making choices that reflect your deepest values. Visualize, picture a younger version of yourself clearly and imagine them sitting across from you. Provide your internal validation through admiration, visualization, direct communication. Tell them that the things they never got to hear, like offer validation, reassurance, closure. Comfort them, remind the younger version that yourself that you are safe enough, no longer need to remain in the survival mode. Dance, stretch, breathe, have a warm shower, learn to feel the discomfort of uncertainty without immediately acting on it. Don't panic, just sit, feel it calmly, seek help professionally. I recommend if these fears lead to patterns of choosing unhealthy partners, those who are in abusive or emotionally unavailable relationships, having a habit of losing oneself in the relationship, seeking counsel or experiencing trauma, regulate your nervous system and release the pain of past and rewire your brain to build and accept the so trust in yourself. For relationship, couple therapy, or for co-regulation with a space to actively ask for reassurance and validation you need while working to build internal stability is a must to get out of this abandonment issue once and all for your healthy, stable life.